Episode 118, the Instagram Story Show. Today is a behind-the-scenes episode that I share the how and the why I make Instagram stories 7 days a week. And you are listening to episode number 118 of Mike Murphy Unplugged. Learn, create, move forward. I am your host, Mike Murphy. I'm a one-man band. I'm a technology junkie. I love helping people figure things out, and I am really excited to be here with you today. The goal of Mike Murphy Unplugged, it's to help you learn what you need to know in order to create online content so you can move forward in business and in life. So welcome to this episode 118, the Instagram Story Show. Not to be confused with episode 49, the Instagram Stories Show, which was released over a year ago. Episode 49 is a great introduction, though, to Instagram Stories and how it differs from Snapchat and what the benefits are for podcasters and content creators. So if you are brand new to Instagram Stories, maybe go check out episode 49 at mikemurphy.co/EP49. But today's episode 18 is going to take a look at how I use Instagram Stories a little over a year after its launch, which was August 2017, and my process for creating daily Instagram stories. I'll start the episode with a brief crash course or refresher on what Instagram Stories is and how it works. Then I will share my process and mindset for making Instagram Stories every day. Why do I use Instagram Stories? How do I come up with topics and what makes a good story? What tools or apps do I use to help me make a more interesting story? So if you're ready, let's get into this Instagram Stories 1 year anniversary show, episode 118. What is Instagram Stories? Well, Instagram Stories was launched, as I said, in August of 2016, and it is really just a feature of the main Instagram app that we all know and love as the place on the internet to share photos and videos, the highlight reel of life and business. Instagram Stories, it's all done on smartphones, though. You don't do it on your computer or your iPad. You do it on a smartphone. It works on Android or iOS devices. You can view stories on a web browser now, which is pretty cool, but Instagram and Stories, all done on the phone. So when you see me walking down the street talking to my phone in public, yes, I am making an Instagram story. So Instagram came out of nowhere, it seemed, took everybody by surprise, and it is very similar to Snapchat. Nearly identical. It's also very similar to daily vlogging, only stories expire after 24 hours. It is kind of the day in the life feature, though. So if I post something at 8 a.m., that post is going to get deleted at 8 a.m. the next day. So your Instagram story is always going. Clips are up to 15 seconds long, and they just run in succession. So when somebody views your Instagram stories in the 23-hour window, they're going to see your start-to-finish story, so to speak. And it's up to you to tell your story. Although Instagram stories do expire in 24 hours, there are options and some new features for saving and repurposing your story. So Instagram stories, they keep adding new features over time, but the basics are you can take photos, videos, and you can do other fun stuff like make animated GIFs with Boomerang. You can record things in reverse, which is called rewind. You can now do stop motion, which I love. And you can also broadcast live right inside of Instagram stories. So just like Facebook Live, you can do it inside of Instagram. And you can even go live with a friend. You can add recent photos and videos from your camera roll, so you can use your iPhone camera and upload those into your Instagram stories. And you can add stickers and text, and there's all sorts of fun filters. There's a lot of things you can do to make things fun. Instagram stories is very simple to use, but the potential to build an audience and promote a brand and business or podcast is very powerful, and it all boils down to being able to create stories, share information that people are interested in and want to come back for on a regular basis. And to view Instagram stories, if you're in the main feed of Instagram, just look up at the very top. You're going to see a bunch of circles with rainbow colored strokes on the top. Those are the Instagram stories. If you just tap on any profile picture with the colored strokes on it, you will start to see that person's Instagram story. And it will jump from story to story, so you can see everyone on that top bar, or you can jump around however you want to browse. You can fast forward, you can rewind, and stories are public. There are some privacy settings where you can hide your story from certain people, but for the most part, you can watch anyone's story. You can watch your favorite celebrity, your favorite musician, or sports stars. The name of the game today is being accessible. genuine, and telling stories to make connections with people. I think it is really cool when you see John Mayer giving a behind the scenes before he goes on stage with Dead & Company, or actually filming on stage while he's not playing, just to bring his fans and his audience along with his journey. He is giving them an experience that they could not get a year ago. And the bond that it builds, it's real, it's strong, and you have that exact same power and the ability as a one-man band or a personal brand or a podcaster with the device that is in your pocket all the time. Instagram Stories is the real deal. In just a little bit over a year, it is now reported to have 300 million active users, nearly double Snapchat's 177 million active users. Quite a year for Instagram Stories. Instagram Stories seemed to come out of nowhere, and it was nearly identical to Snapchat in concept and features, and it just clicked with people. It really put the hurt on Snapchat. Snapchat still has the attention of the under 25 crowd for now, but Instagram Stories has become a major player in social media and is the tool for businesses and brands to take people behind the scenes and build that brand equity. If you are building an online presence in any way, I really encourage you to give Instagram Stories a shot. Okay, so the recap on the refresher. Instagram Stories, we now know, is a feature inside of the main Instagram app that allows anyone to record up to 15-second clips that disappear after 24 hours. It is an ongoing journal of sorts, told in photos, videos, and lots of emojis and silly stickers and animated GIFs. This new media world we live in sure is fun, isn't it? So first, why do I use Instagram Stories? The backstory is that I started using Snapchat in the summer of 2016, and it was challenging and very much out of my comfort zone, to say the least, to walk around and put goofy filters on my face and talk to strangers about my day-to-day life. Not in a million years did I think I would ever do this. But I am building a long-term online business and personal brand, and I know that video, live streaming, and connecting with people is the future of online business, and you have to play if you want to win. So I use Snapchat as a practice tool to get better and more comfortable in front of the camera. Because Snapchat and Instagram Stories disappear in 24 hours, there is not a lot of pressure because every day is like a fresh start. So I look at it as practicing my craft of making videos, learning to tell stories, and figuring out what people want from me or what my strengths are. When Instagram Stories launched, I pretty much jumped ship immediately because I was already a big fan of Instagram, and Stories did basically the same thing as Snapchat. So I was hooked from the start. Now, I have posted something on Instagram for over 2 years now, and I've done the exact same on Instagram Stories for over a year, since day one. I post my Instagram Stories 7 days a week, and it is a part of my daily routine. And quite honestly, it's one of my biggest motivators. Instagram Stories keeps me on track. My why for Instagram Stories is kind of self-serving on many levels, as I want to be great at creating online content and teaching people, and Instagram Stories is holding me accountable. It's how I get better and share my progress in the behind the scenes of my business and brand building journey. So if I'm not working hard and moving forward, then I have nothing valuable to contribute to my Instagram Stories. It's a weird phenomenon, but I felt the same when I first started using Snapchat. I feel like I am always on the clock, and I want to share my story. So of course, I want it to be interesting and fun and motivating for others. So I have to show up every day for real and put in the work and have fun, because my Instagram Stories is pushing me to be better at everything. So my why is a personal quest to be better at communicating and being comfortable in front of the camera, learning the craft of telling stories to educate, motivate, and inspire people, and to build a community, and to learn to connect with people, because that does not come natural for me. I'm just working really hard at developing the skills that I know are going to launch me ahead of the pack in the future. Instagram Stories does has analytics. You can see who views your stories. And I'm a little weird like this, so I very rarely look to see who's watching. I don't know if there's 1 or 50 or 100 people watching my stories. I have swiped up by accident a few times, so I know there's not a giant amount of people watching me. But I know there's a couple, and it only takes one person that for finding value or inspiration for what I'm saying. That is all I need to keep showing up every day, because it's also making me better at everything. So my process. Instagram Stories has become a part of my routine, and while I do not script out the story every day or map out my day the way many successful YouTube vloggers might, I am conscious how the storytelling process works, and this is something I'm working at. It has a beginning, a middle, and an ending, and a good story always has some conflict. I start my Instagram Stories in the morning, usually when I go for my morning bike ride or walk. I live in sunny Naples, Florida, really close to the beach, so a big part of my story is the scenery and the beach vibe, and I weave photos and videos into my stories to add interest and to practice my creativity. In order to build a brand and strong online presence as a content creator, you have to build up your creative toolbox. So I am always flexing my creative muscle and playing with different video and photo techniques and sharing them to my Instagram stories. That is what I do for fun when nobody is watching. So Instagram stories is just a tool that allows me to share my perspective and a piece of me that all adds to my brand story because it is what I do. It's also important for me to share knowledge or things that I think are going to help people move forward in one way or another. I don't think my Instagram stories are very profound, and I often go on rants that I completely lose track of, but I am very thoughtful and conscious of trying to share visuals and thoughts that I think others are going to find useful or entertaining or educational. And despite everything I might say or show in nice visuals, at the end of the day, what I think is my greatest asset and my most motivational trait is that I do show up day after day and stay positive and let people know that it does take hard work to create the life you want, but you have to try. Conflict, a major element to any good story, and I share my struggles and ups and downs on my Instagram stories because they are real. Do I have enough time to write my podcast script and make 3 videos and finish a project that is going to generate some income from me? The struggle is real, and I share it on Instagram stories, but I am conscious of the flow, and this comes with time, and I never thought of myself as a natural gifted storyteller by any means, but I am learning and also seeing the value that storytelling has on my business. It's the realness and the origin stories that always makes us really love the business or brand, and Instagram stories really allows you to develop this concept and bring it to reality. So I am sharing my narrative in a genuine manner, but I am sculpting my brand story as part of the process. So the anatomy or the breakdown of my Instagram stories looks something like this. I wake up in the morning, I do some work, and then I go on my morning walk. I usually take some photos or videos of the beautiful Florida sunrise at the beach or of a nice palm tree, and I say good morning on my story with some text. I start the stories in a very peaceful tone, and then I usually start with a personal good morning greeting. I share some tech news or something interesting that I learned, or a tech tip, or just something that was on my mind. I then share my to-do list for the day, and it's not to sound busy or that I'm working so hard, but it's more to share my story and the process for how I am trying to make it on my own as an online business owner. I am not sugarcoating anything. Maybe a little. This is real stuff I'm sharing, but I have to tell it in 15-second clips or less, so there is an art to it in some regards, and it is the nature of storytelling. I usually do a quick update in the mid-afternoon to break up my workday and to touch base, and my favorite time of the day, as everyone knows who watches my Instagram stories, is when I go on my afternoon bike ride in my sunset missions. This seems to be what most people enjoy the most, watching the sunset go down. People are also curious how I'm able to ride my bike through traffic on my old beach cruiser and not miss a beat in my Instagram stories. What can I say? I'm a good multitasker, I guess. The reality, though, of everything that I'm doing, the way that I share my bike riding, my beach photo, and video mission at sunset is 100% me. And the reason people seem to respond to it is because they know that I am genuinely enjoying myself. The scenery is beautiful to boot. It's why I live where I do, because I enjoy the quality of life and the beautiful surroundings. So I make that a big part of my Instagram story and my brand story. And I rinse and repeat every day. But I am always trying to sharpen and up my storytelling skills and always aware of the other person viewing the story. I do not overthink sharing things, and topics come out of what I am working on or what is fresh on my mind. But I also only try to share things that I think will somehow teach, entertain, or give just a little bit of inspiration or motivation to people who may need a nudge to go after their goals or take a chance on themselves. That is why I show up on Instagram stories 7 days a week. Briefly, for the technical side of things, there are many apps out there that add interest to your Instagram stories, and I really encourage you to think outside the box and really try to push the boundaries of your Instagram stories. You just have to put it on something that is done in a vertical image. Instagram stories is all done vertically. It's a 9:16 aspect ratio. So it's the opposite of a wide video that you watch on YouTube. It's 1080 pixels wide by 1920 pixels long. And as Instagram stories grows in popularity, you're finding more and more apps in the App Store that can actually add some cool effects for Instagram stories. So just go out there and experiment. I sometimes make graphics inside of Photoshop. I make animations in After Effects. All you need to do is send stuff to your camera roll, and you can share them in your Instagram stories as long as it's within 24 hours of going into your camera roll. I also really like to use the Hyperlapse app. This is actually made by Instagram. I was using this before Instagram stories, but I'm a fan of time lapses, so this is a great way to add some interest to your stories. And there's also some handy apps that will take longer video and cut them up into perfect 15-second clips, which I do from time to time. So if you have a video that's a minute long and you don't really want to go chop it up on your computer, you can use an app and it will cut it into spaces so you can upload the whole story. And I also just like to use my regular iPhone camera, so I can use something like slow-mo or time-lapse. And I love using my Adobe Lightroom camera because I can make my photos look a little bit more polished. However, Instagram stories did just add some nice new filters, so I'm using that less and less. I am just always thinking of ways to add interest to my Instagram stories and experiment with graphics and just trying to tell a better story. I encourage you to do the same. Learn, create, move forward. Creativity and storytelling is the future of online education, content creation, podcasting, blogging, personal branding, and online business, and Instagram Stories is a powerful tool to practice and connect and build a community. So what is your story? I would love to hear from you about your experience with Instagram Stories, or if you have any questions for me. Does this topic, does Instagram Stories interest you? Is there anything specific that you want me to teach more about when it comes to creating for Instagram Stories? And be sure to follow me on Instagram at MikeUnplug. You can always send me a direct message or just email me at mike@mikemurphy.co. I would love your feedback or questions and what you want to learn more about. You can also find the show notes for today's episode at mikemurphy.co/EP118. And I thank you for joining me today. I hope you join my one-man band, and together we can learn, create, and move forward. Cheers.